We are now going to read this play titled The Legend of the Sleepy Hollow. Some of you guys may have heard of this. Are you afraid of the Headless Horseman? Here is our cast of characters. We have Knickerbockers, the storyteller, narrators 1, 2, and 3, Ichabod Crane, a schoolmaster, Katrina Van Tassel, the village beauty, Brom Bones, the village brute, Wolf, new schoolmaster, villagers Martha, Ida, Van Riper, Jansen Hans, and Brower. Scene 1. I was never one for ghost stories, not until I happened upon a village called Sleepy Hollow. It's a dreamy place, a place of superstitions. It was here I heard about a man named Ichabod Crane. A lanky fellow enters, absent-mindedly whistling. So that means that he's not paying attention, he's just kind of whistling around. His long nose is buried in a book. Ichabod was very tall, with long arms and hands that dangled a mile out of his sleeves. His head was small, with huge ears and big green eyes. 2 old women shuffled by. Good day, schoolmaster. Why, good day, ladies. You seem quite interested in your book. Yes, a history of witchcraft. It's fascinating. We've no witches here. Only ghosts. Did you hear the wailing widow last night? No, but I did hear the wind in the trees. That wasn't the wind. That was the widow's ghost. She always shrieks when a terrible storm is coming. The women walk on. Ichabod looks up at the darkening sky and shivers. At the Von Tassel's mansion, Ichabod has just given a singing lesson. Would you like to stay for tea? I would be delighted. While Katrina pours tea, Ichabod devours a big slice of honey cake. So, are you enjoying Sleepy Hollow? Quite, yes, quite. And where are you staying this week? With the Van Ripers. You don't mind going from place to place, carrying all your belongings? Alas, this is the life of a schoolmaster. My wages are so low that I must rely on the kindness of my students' parents to house and feed me. Ichabod is interrupted by the thundering of hooves. Katrina leaps up. That must be Brom Bones. Come take a ride with me. His black horse, Daredevil, is the finest in the valley. Ichabod looks at Katrina adoringly as she dashes off. Scene 3. Ichabod eats dinner with his host, Mr. Van Riper. Katrina and her father are having a party tonight. Should I attend? Of course. Why wouldn't you? Well, Brom Bones will be there. He said if he caught me near Katrina, he'd flatten me like a pancake. Brom may be rough, but he's just a joker. Still, once he began courting Katrina, no other fellow dare come near. Well, I'm merely giving Katrina singing lessons, but I can't help notice her many charms, and that her family has quite a fortune. I suppose Brom should have some competition, don't you think? Sure, you're a worthy lad. Take my old horse, Gunpowder, and go to the party. Scene 4. Ichabod arrives at the party. Wide-eyed, he stared at the table laden with the ginger cakes, and pumpkin pies. Ichabod sinks his teeth into an apple pastry. Sugar falls down the front of his suit. Just then, a broad-shouldered man struts into the room. He and Ichabod lock eyes. Good evening, Brom Bones. Ichabod. That Brom Bones looks ready for a fight. Come now, Brom is more mischievous than mean. Brom walks up to Katrina. What is that overgrown grasshopper doing here? The schoolmaster? He's an honored guest. Ha! Honored guest? He's got dinner plates where his ears should be and shovels for feet. Oh, Brom, you're just jealous. Scene 5. The guests dance merrily to the lively sounds of a fiddle. Dear Katrina, May I have this dance? Katrina glances slyly at Brom. Why, certainly, Mr. Crane. As Ichabod dances, his long limbs fly around the room like an octopus in a tornado. Oh, we have a simile there. Katrina laughs with delight. As she spins, she sees Brom Bones brooding in the corner. We have an alliteration there. Scene 6. Later that night, Ichabod joins a group of guests by the fire. In these parts, Mr. Crane, you must take care to be a decent person. Those who don't get carried away by ghouls in the night. Oh, yes, many ghosts haunt Sleepy Hollow. There's the old Dutchman who walks the dock, and the woman in white. You can hear her crying on cold nights. But no other ghost compares to the Headless Horseman. Who? The Headless Horseman. He is said to be the ghost of a soldier whose head was blown clean off by a cannonball during the Revolutionary War. His body is buried in a churchyard. Every night he rides in search of his head. He cannot rest until he finds it, so take care not to be on the roadway at the witching hour. I once met him on the road. I called to him, "Show me your face, good man." The room is silent. All are listening. When he turned, there was nothing, only the stump of his neck. Heavens! He pulled me up onto his horse. Brower takes a bite of his apple and chews it slowly. What happened next? We galloped over hill and swamp. We reached the old church bridge. That's when the horseman... What? When the horseman what? He turned into a skeleton, threw me into the brook, and with a clap of thunder, sprang over the treetops. Oh, my! I will never forget it. Brom rises and all eyes turn to him. I, too, have seen the Headless Horseman. I was coming home one night when he rode by. What did you do? I wasn't afraid. I offered to race him for a glass of cider. Well, did you win? I would have won, but just as we came to the old church bridge, the horseman vanished in a flash of fire. Ah, yes. It is said that the horseman cannot pass the old church bridge. So if the horseman comes after you, head for the bridge. If only you can reach the bridge, you will be safe. Scene 7. On his way home that night, Ichabod, pale as a tombstone, trots along on Gunpowder. We have a simile there. His face was as pale as a tombstone. The shadows are long in the moonlight. Ah-woo! Ichabod flinches. Take care not to be on the roadway at the witching hour. Keep it together, Ichabod. Suddenly, there is a rustling in the bushes. Something huge appears in the shadows. Every night, he rides in search of his head. Ichabod's hands tremble as he clutches in the reins. So our stage direction here that says off stage lets us know that he's hearing these things that the people have already said, kind of like in the back of his head, like he's remembering what they said. Ichabod's hands tremble as he clutches the reins. Who's there? The figure is atop a powerful black horse. I say, sir, who are you? The figure does not respond. Ichabod kicks Gunpowder and the horse takes off. When Ichabod looks over his shoulder, he is horror-struck by what he sees is chasing him. The Headless Horseman! The head that should be resting on his shoulders hangs from the saddle in the form of a fiery jack-o'-lantern. Fly, Gunpowder, fly! Away they dashed, sparks flashing under Gunpowder's hooves. If only you can reach the bridge, you will be safe. The church bridge! Ichabod cracks his whip wildly in the air. Yah! Yah! Come on, Gunpowder! Gunpowder's hooves pound as they cross the bridge. Ichabod looks back again, expecting the Headless Horseman to vanish. Instead, he sees the ghoul raise his arm and hurl his head at him. Ah! All goes dark. Scene 8. Several months later, guests gather for the wedding of Brom Bones and Katrina Von Tassel. The villagers sit by the fire telling tales to the new schoolmaster. The next morning, Gunpowder wandering home, but Ichabod did not return. What happened to him? Nobody knows. A search led to the bridge. Ichabod's hat was found next to the brook, and close beside it, a shattered pumpkin. Brom Bones chuckles to himself. Mr. Crane was never found again. It is said that on quiet evenings you can hear the ghost of Ichabod Crane whistling near the schoolhouse. Knickerbocker walks on stage. Others heard that Ichabod was still alive and well, just scared out of town by the ghost. They suspected that perhaps Brom Bones knew more of this matter than he chose to tell. The end. What do you think happened to Ichabod? Let me know on the next slide.